What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. Starting off beginning part of the week, you have a lot of Fed speakers, so Monday, Tuesday, and beginning of Wednesday. So depending on what is stated, that could cause some volatility, and hopefully they don't really talk on the whole 50 basis points for this upcoming meeting being on the table, because I feel like last Friday was the last day that the market priced out the likelihood of a 50 basis point cut. So right now consensus is 25, even there is a 2.6% likelihood of nothing happening. So I feel like that would really spook the broader market a little bit, but still at the end of the day, we'll just have to wait and see what they do state. But based on the topics at hand, they shouldn't really directly talk on monetary policy. On Wednesday, you have the FOMC minutes. So at least over the last several times that they have come out, it causes a hell of a lot of volatility. So once again, we'll just have to wait and see. But Thursday, you have CPI, initial jobless claims, Friday, PPI. And then not only that, Friday does kick off bank earnings. So yeah, it's going to be a crazy roller coaster, especially considering Wall Street really does consider SoFi a bank in times of negativity, right? So if banks miss their earnings, then yes, SoFi is a bank. But if the brick and mortar banks hit a home run earnings, then yeah, SoFi is just in the corner doing its own thing. As far as this upcoming week though, there isn't anything planned for SoFi, so no conferences, nothing like that. But going into this upcoming week, you do see the fear and greed index under the greed category, and most likely with the data coming out hopefully good, it'll push it to the extreme greed. So meaning people's appetite for risk is going to be on the table. And kind of interesting to note, 1 year ago, we were under the extreme fear. So a quick 180 is fairly good. But for this upcoming week, I do feel that shorts are going to continue to play a very big part in SoFi, as what usually does happen, because historically, at least looking at what does happen, every time you see a cost to borrow minimum being negative, again, as a broker kind of paying people to short SoFi, the corresponding days you see a run up coming from shorts. So again, history doesn't always repeat itself, and sometimes my crystal ball is wrong, but just anticipate that. But SoFi did have a pretty big win over shorts. So market makers were covering shares associated and linked to options. I'll go over that in a second, as well as shorts were returning on Friday. So it'd be nice to see a nice continuation of that, and at least going into SoFi's upcoming earnings, have the short interest around that, at least maybe 15%. That would be logical, but still, we'll just have to wait and see. For this upcoming week, this is the current open interest. So SoFi did close above $8, not above $8.50. So that does mean 1,000 at the 7, 4,000 at 7.50, and then 35,000 at that 8. All are in the money. So this is why you did see some market makers come Friday covering shares. A lot of big transactions as well. So 1.4, 2.48. Several ones right here, 16. A lot of big money was really getting into SoFi, and a lot of covering, right? Same goes for shorts returning. So this bump up in the stock price that did happen was more of an abnormal kind of scenario. I've been covering SoFi for a while, and yes, SoFi has had defeats over shorts and market makers, but normally market makers and all this kind of situation doesn't happen on Friday. It usually gets kind of a minor bump up on Monday, and then it gets brushed under the rug. So yeah, pretty interesting all in all. But for this upcoming week, so expiring October the 11th, you have currently 10,000 at that 8, 26,000 at that 8.50, and then 6,000 at that 9. So in my opinion, somewhat low-ish. The 8.50 is somewhat high, of course, but if SoFi does come out hitting very strong, it can easily get above that. And especially based on the technicals are kind of looking very much in favor of more upside. So quickly popping over here with that $8.39, it landed exactly on this R1. So watch for this to kind of be a very strong, broader pivot for it, because right now I'm looking at the 1-day chart on a side note. So these are very strong support and resistance points. I'll go over the kind of micro ones on a side note in a second, but definitely watch for it to get above this 839. Then 881 is going to be the next strong resistance slash target, and then 9. So who knows if we can see maybe the $9 leading into SoFi's earnings, or heaven forbid, possibly double digits. That would be kind of kick-ass. But looking at the 4-hour on a side note, with it again at 8.39, it is trading between this R2 and this R3. So 8.23 will be good support, not as strong as the 1 day like I kind of just brought up, but 8.44. So just take note of some of the strong support and resistance points that I did kind of mention, and even prior or below that as well. On the actual chart itself, still considered oversold. So if there is a good piece of news that does come out, whether it be because of some data points or specific to SoFi, you could see a rush of value investors. And SoFi has been doing a lot of good PR over the last little bit, and a lot of which has been linked to their tech aspects of their business, not so much the fundamental personal loans and stuff like that. So I think SoFi's this upcoming earnings, you're going to hear a different tune coming from management. So I think that's a good thing, trying to break away from the whole mentality from Wall Street of just being no better than just a bank. So yeah, even though their results are phenomenal, much better growth rate than any of the brick and mortar banks, still Wall Street likes to just categorize SoFi as just a bank. So hopefully this upcoming earnings is going to be a very strong pivot for SoFi to propel it to the double digits and stay there for good, hopefully. And aside from that though, number of retail investors were getting in on Friday. Technicals are looking fairly good. You could see some volatility and some profit taking due to, again, just SoFi running up 7.5 or 15%. So regardless, it's going to be a lot of volatility. But all in all, it is very good to see the level of buying coming from institutions really improving on Friday. So watch for that to carry forward, because this was the typical, at least on a normal day, just a hell of a lot of selling. So at least during the trading day, you saw a lot of big gaps of buying. So that aided in it having a lot of good support. So on a typical day, I always bring up what the volume is, where it's coming from, because if it is coming from institutions, that is good support. If it's coming from algorithmic trading, then that's no bueno. I don't like that, because let's say the sentiment and the momentum does get killed in the broader market. Well, guess what? Those algos turn very quick, fast, and causes the stock price to go down equally as fast as it goes up. So this is why a lot of stocks that I have on my watch list are very big momentum stocks and just growth stocks. And a lot of them on a daily basis, such as even NEO, the majority of the volume does come from algorithmic trading. So it's a kind of a good and also a negative. So this is why, I guess, long story short, why you should really watch for institutions to keep buying SoFi for this upcoming week. But aside from that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. My apologies on my ranting. I feel like I'm getting sick right now. So mentally, I feel like I'm only there about like 80% right now. So hopefully everyone had a good weekend thus far. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And with all that said, I appreciate you guys watching.